Hello, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to use our new targeted Tier 2 planning tool to plan intervention and extension for your grade level essential skills after giving an end of unit assessment. Now this same tool could also be used if you're planning for Tier 1 intervention and extension after CFAs. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by finding the data, and as a teacher of record I'm going to start with all my students. Even if you're a secondary teacher, resist the urge to click on one particular class period. We can grab all of our students under all my students. It's also very helpful if you're a campus administrator if you click on quick views, and then you can pull all of the data for all teachers and all students all in one go. Especially if you are sharing students during a flex time or win time or even just within your regular schedule. So I'm going to drill down into my assessment that I'm wanting to look at. Once I get my data pulled up, I need to use a quick view to get the data in the right format so that you can export it and put it into the Excel template that we have provided for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the Essential Standard Unit Tool Quick View. Once I get that, then I can think about first if I want to pre-sort the data. So if I am an elementary teacher, especially if we're departmentalized, or even if I'm an elementary administrator, I might consider sorting on testing section so that I can get the data grouped by the teacher and also by their class period if they, their testing section if they are a departmentalized elementary teacher. The same could be done if you're self-contained elementary. You could click on testing instructor if you are an administrator, or if you're secondary you might consider pre-sorting by testing period if that would be helpful information to you. Once I get the data sorted in the right template and sorted if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to click on export to Excel, and then I'll open up my data when it pops up down below. Anytime you get any data out of Excel, you always want to make sure out of Aware into Excel, you click Enable Editing. And then what you need to do is select all of your cells with data. Resist the urge to click on the on this section up here that selects the whole sheet, because then you're selecting all these cells with no data. Same thing, don't select across the columns because you're going to be selecting cells with no data, or also don't select by row because you'll be getting all these cells without data. So just start in A1 and select all of your cells with data, Control C, and then I've already opened up the Excel template that I'm going to be using. Same thing, always make sure you click Enable Editing. Make sure you're down here on the Data tab, and you're going to come to this yellow cell right here. You're going to right click, and this is incredibly important. You have to make sure you click Paste Values. Do not just do Control V or a regular paste, because then you're going to be messing with all the formulas that we have in here. Now, this Data tab, there's nothing useful in this Data tab. This is really just for you to dump the data in the right format. What you want to do is come down to these Essential Standard tabs. That's what the ES is. So let's come to our Essential Standard 1, and I'm going to be filling out all of this yellow section up at the top. Okay, so I'm going to start by choosing the TEK. You'll see on this test there were 3 TEKs that were tested. And let's say that 52B is the essential standard for this unit that my PLC has identified that students must learn by the end of the year in order to be successful in the next grade. So I'm going to choose that standard, and you're going to see some data start to populate, but we're not finished. Then you want to tell the sheet how do you want to view the students. Do you want to view their testing section? Again, that's for elementary. Or do you want to view their testing period? That's for secondary. Since I'm in as an elementary, I'm going to click on section, and then you're going to get information about where that student is being taught. Then I want to make sure I click on the subject area, and I chose a math test, so I'm going to click math, because then it's going to replace this section up here with the actual language of the TEK. Now, if you're a campus that does quintiling and groups students by quintile, you may select yes, and you're going to notice some color coding based on those different quintiles. If your campus does not do quintiles, you can either leave it no, or you also saw that before it was blank and I didn't have all that color coding on there. Now there's one more incredibly important, powerful part of this template that you need to fill out. You need to tell the template what is the percentage range for students who need significant intervention on this skill. Then what's that range for students who were, mostly successful, but they just need maybe some more practice and support. And then that's going to by default give you that third range of what are those students who need extension because they're being largely successful with this skill. And then any students who get a 100% are already pre-sorted into needing a performance task or needing to move on to some other learning. So I'm looking at the range for the questions on this test, and I see 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So there's 5 questions. So that can help me know about what I might want to set those percentage ranges as. It also is helpful based on whatever our PLC determines is the proficiency level for this particular TEK, and also based on the rigor level of this assessment. So I'm just putting in numbers. This is by no means the only way to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and decide that 0 to 40%, I just type in that highest number. That's going to be my students that need intervention. And it's going to populate right there, 0 to 40%. So now my needing support students are 41% to, let's say, my 60%ers. Because that's the kids that are getting it about half right in there. And so those are the ones that I need to support their practice, their understanding. And then it by default goes ahead and says that anybody from 61 to 99 is at extension. Of course, I could do that higher if I needed to. And then any 100%ers are performance tasks. So I can see right here, here are my students that need intervention as color-coded, identified by the red color. Here are my students who need support. Here are my students who need some extension practice. And then all of my students, don't forget them, that they are demonstrating, especially getting 5 out of 5 questions correct on this skill, real proficiency and mastery of this TEK, and are ready to apply that knowledge in some kind of performance task or move on to some other learning, whatever is deemed necessary or appropriate by my PLC. You also have this section out here to the right where you can make your plan. You can go ahead and group if you want to merge all the cells and make one plan here, or type in each individual one, whatever you want to do. Who's going to be taking the students? What kind of strategies are you going to use for those students? Materials, or what time are they going to be? Are these students going to be addressed at their particular level? That's where you write in here the notes in the plan. Now, that may or may not be the only essential standard for this unit. You have up to 5 essential standard tabs, depending on how many your PLC is going to be identifying as essential standards. So if I come to ES2, let's say I have a second standard, then I can choose a different standard. The texting section and the subject is already pre-populated. My percentage ranges are also pre-populated, but of course, if you decide that those percentage ranges aren't going to work for you, you could always change that. Maybe this is these kids are at 0 to 60%, and it'll go ahead and set that up and change that. And then I need to also, because this is 61 to 60, I need to adjust that as well. So maybe I'll put 80% for this particular TEK. And so then therefore, here's my intervention groups and here's my extension. That's just based on the percentage ranges that I chose. So we sincerely hope that this Essential Standards Intervention and Extension tool really helps your PLCs quickly get to the most important meat of the data analysis process, which is making that plan for those students. How are you going to intervene and how are you going to extend, by student, by standard.